Hi, everyone, and welcome. Well, today is our part two with Raymond Harris. Now, last week, we talked to Raymond about his being an executive movie producer and investor. And today, we are going to find out more about his being an architectural business owner and venture capitalist. So, I would like for you to help me welcome Raymond Harris. Raymond. All right. Hi, Raymond, and welcome again for part two.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, Janet. Thank you for inviting me back.
Oh, absolutely. And anytime, you're welcome anytime. But if you will, for part two here, tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe your background, and how did you become involved in architecture?
Well, it's like any young kid that has a passion or has a a desire. I had the desire to be an architect as a young guy, and my grandmother was really sweet. She sat down with me when I was maybe in junior high and said, "What do you want to do with your life?" And I said, "Well, I like architecture, but I don't know much about it." So she helped me evaluate my strengths, and as a result, I went to the University of Oklahoma to be pre-med because that's what my dad and wanted me to do, and my grandfather was a doctor and my dad was a doctor, and so I went pre-med my first year, and I did not enjoy it. I made really good grades. I did well, but I decided that I would march over to the architectural school after my first year in college and enroll there. And it was at that time that I did really well in architecture school because I really enjoyed it and I was willing to work hard. And I graduated at the top of my class and was chosen as the outstanding senior. But it was because I had a real deep love of what I was doing, and so what we used to call all-nighters, stay up all night working on projects, was never a problem for me. I enjoyed, the process. Architecture is an artistic profession,
Right.
and you have to either be good at it or you can't do it very well. And I was good at art and rendering. I was not an artist, but I was artistic, and so
Right.
it's a little bit of a difference.
Creative. Yes.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, I must tell everyone that you are also an author and speaker, a movie producer, executive movie producer, and venture capitalist in God's kingdom. Now, I've read that you're the owner and founder of a firm that has been most successful, and it's been one of the most successful firms in the U.S. And also, if you've been in a Walmart, wherever across the nation, then Raymond has either remodeled it or built it. So we're going to talk a little bit about some of the buildings that he has built or had some influence in. Now, you are one of the most prolific architects in America. Tell us the backstory of building a firm and to do so much work that you built it up over the years.
Well, as my dad said, my dad was a little disappointed I wasn't a doctor. Uh, if you'll talk to most doctors, they'll say, I really wish I was an architect. I would have enjoyed that building stuff. So anyway, it's kind of a funny side note, but after I got out of architecture school, I worked for some very good firms and got good experience. And I wanted to be a partner in one of the big firms when I was very young. and the older partners would say, "Well, you're too young." And so, at 27 years old, I left the firm I was with and just started my own. And my dad called it an MM&I company, me, myself, and I. So I was the only employee.
Very good.
I grew the firm over a long period of time. The first 10 years was like going down the runway. You're trying to get loft, and you're trying to establish a firm. It's like an airplane taking off. You have to get up to a certain speed to be able to get wind under. So finally, after about 10 years, we got some loft. In that first 10 years, though, I established the principles of the firm, kind of how to run a firm. I didn't want to drag a bunch of people through the mud learning how to run a business. So I learned how to run a business before I started hiring a lot of people and before we had the work to hire them.
Yeah.
But we did a lot of what we call boutique work at first. Would be the little artsy projects that people would hire an architect for, typically like a church or a little shopping center.
Right.
Or, an elderly housing project, things like that, little boutique projects. But one night I was sitting at my desk, and it was about 3 o'clock in the morning, and not because I'd gotten up early, but because I'd been there all day and all night. And I just said, "Lord, it's just too hard. This is just so hard as a business owner and working all night." And he seemed to give me wisdom at that time. He said to me, "Quit trying to be a design architect and start being a service architect. In other words, serve people. And design is important, but what I want you to be is a service-oriented firm." So I began to change the firm from being a boutique firm doing fancy design to pursuing corporate clients that needed service. And as a result, God seemed to bring to us opportunities to do work for AT&T and also Walmart, Sam's, and some hospital work. And so kind of changed the firm. It was kind of slow. There's a Walmart there.
Yes.
Designed. And over the years, over 35 years, we either remodeled or designed or added on to about 8,000 different stores, Walmart or Sam's. So we became a very large firm doing corporate work. That's a church we designed initially in the early days, in our boutique days. So we did good design, but the Lord just seemed to say, "You can do design, but serve your clients is more important."
Wow.
As a result of that, we were able to hire more people. And so
I think you started out
it was a pretty small firm when we started, and ended up with about 80 people at the peak. So
wow. Oh my goodness. And I think this is in your firm?
That's inside the firm, yeah. In an old warehouse building. Is a lot of fun. We were there for 30 years in an old building that was totally remodeled. And
how about that? And I think you started out with yourself, and then you got a couple of partners.
Yeah, about 25 years into it, I was a sole owner. I had great guys working with me, but about 25 years into the practice, I just really felt like I needed equal partners, and so I brought on Shade and Larry to help me with the firm, and eventually we had 5 partners, but we started out with just 3 of us, and then I sold eventually to all those partners. I sold the firm to them because I was not because I wanted to get out, but I wanted to transition to leadership, and I felt like you cannot transition leadership without transitioning a sense of ownership. Otherwise, it has good care of the company. So.
Yeah, and that's good because you want your firm to continue the service.
Right.
Your clients, yes.
Yeah, and I had a really good man. We had over 250 young architects work in our firm over the years.
Wow.
And a lot of great men and women that came through the firm. A lot of them I recruited out of college. But you have great architects, but you don't always have great leaders within the architecture profession. So I found that, over the years that I didn't have as many leaders as I would want to have. I had great, team members,
Right.
but leadership is a little bit different animal to be able to run a firm. And so I found the 5 leaders, and, made them partners. So.
Well, now tell us a little bit more about your experience in working with Walmart. A little bit of the story there of your experience.
Yeah, it's a story. There's a verse that says, "If you're faithful in little, you'll be faithful in much." And the original Walmart project that I was able to do was actually a very small remodel addition to a store that was actually brought to me by a general contractor. And the contractor said, "Hey, you've been recommended by your firm that you used to work for." And they didn't want to do this kind of work. It was kind of beneath their standards to work on remodel work for Walmart. So I said, "Sure, I'll be glad to do it." And I did it. And I worked for this general contractor on a couple more projects. I did a good job in that we didn't have change orders. I did it on time. I did it at a reasonable fee. And the contractor liked me, but Walmart noticed as well that I did all 3 of those things fast. I did it cheap, and I did it well, which, is kind of, you can usually have 2 of the 3, but not all 3. And I figured I'd do all 3 for Walmart. And they said, "Well, would you please come up and visit with us? Because we'd like to give you more work." And so I went up and visited with them, and I left that day with 19 projects. And then the next year I came back and they gave me 100 projects. And then gaining momentum, and then we started doing a lot of work. And if you've been in a Sam's Club, our firm would be the one that designed that for Walmart and Sam's. And then we did about 10 to 15% of the new Walmart stores, but we probably remodeled or added on to almost all of them at one point in time over a 30-year period. And so we worked on projects all over the country: Alaska, Hawaii, even did one in Fairbanks, Alaska, Honolulu, Hawaii. And as I always joke, I'm like Johnny Cash. I've been everywhere. So anyway.
Oh my goodness, my goodness. Well, now something else that I have learned about you, and this is going back to your personal life, but you hiked all of the continental U.S. national parks and served as a Boy Scout master for 13 years.
Yes.
So hiking, tell us about that.
Well, yeah, I really enjoyed scouting as a little guy. Unfortunately, our parents moved to a town where there didn't have a very robust scouting program when I was in junior high. So I wasn't able to participate in scouting more than a couple of years, but I just really liked it. So I had, Marydel and I had 2 sons. And when our oldest son became old enough to be in Boy Scouting, I said, "I think this would be a good activity for us to do together." So we joined the scouting program, and he became involved as a Boy Scout, and I got involved as an adult leader, and eventually I got trained and became an assistant scoutmaster and then the head scoutmaster, and did that for 13 years. In the time that I did that, I really enjoyed taking the boys in high adventure activities. And so we started doing some backpacking and hiking, and enjoyed going to everything from New Mexico to Colorado to Wyoming to Montana and all the way up to Alaska. And we would do these summer trips, and it would teach young men how to become self-sufficient and confident, even in trying situations. And we learned to hike. We learned how to climb mountains. We learned how to float rivers, and take care of each other, and how to do first aid. And I just absolutely love that. Yeah. And when both of my sons completed their scouting careers, they were both Eagle Scouts. I didn't really want to stay in scouting much past that, because I thought, that didn't make much sense. to me, even though I was in it for 13 years. So then I said, well, what else could I do? And I said, well, it'd be like if you just hike all the national parks. And so it took me 7 years, but during that 7 year period, I hiked all the parks in the continental United States and the ones in Alaska. I did, I think, 2 or 3 of those. And then the 2 in Hawaii, I did those, of course. That was fun. But there's a few in Alaska that I just couldn't get to. And then there's one in the Virgin Islands that I didn't do. So there's some national parks outside of the U.S. as well. So.
Oh my goodness. I love it because you always look to do something else.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. I love it. I love it.
Well, if you don't, you go stale, and I want to keep fresh as long as I can. So
exactly.
Before I go to the grave. So
I understand what you're saying. I sure do. Now, what's some good encouragement that you could give to young people who are wanting to do something about their careers? What's a good word for them?
That's a great encouragement. I would encourage anyone to pursue what they enjoy doing and what they are good at doing. And I think God gives us our giftedness and desires that tend to match.
Yeah.
So do the things that are interesting or that you like, and then that you're also good at. So match that up. Absolutely. Now, the component is if you stop there, you will not be successful. What you have to do then, once you find those 2 things, is then to work really, really hard. And the book of Proverbs gives so many opportunities of good advice.
Yes.
But the number one theme throughout Proverbs is diligent hard work. And so if you work hard and you're good at what you do, there's a very, very good chance that you'll be successful. And I always tell people, stay late to make up for coming in early. And so, work really hard.
I love that.
And I think that there's really a good chance that you will be successful. And success has nothing to do with the amount of money you make. It's what you accomplish and what God has called you to do. And some of the most successful people are people that don't have a lot of wealth. So
yes, absolutely, absolutely. And I would add to that, store up your treasures in heaven and not here.
Yeah, that's right. Well, if you do that, you'll be truly successful in the next world and not just this world. So
yes.
I think we're all aiming for the world to come.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, where can people connect with you or contact you?
The best way is LinkedIn, which is my name, Raymond Harris, on LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. That's the platform I use. I'm not on Facebook, but I'm on LinkedIn. And then again, I've written a book that tells a lot of stories that are really fun. And so I've authored 4 books, and I enjoy telling the stories to illustrate the principles. I think that's how Jesus taught us, and so a lot of my stories are in my book, and most of them are true. So.
And for part 3, we're going to delve into that book. I have read it. It's amazing. And it's a book for all of us. And this is a website, I believe, for your book, right?
Yes.
businessbydesignbook.com.
Right. And that'll have a lot more on there other than just the one book. So it's the website. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you have retired from the architectural firm, but you are involved in so many other things. And last week we did delve into your executive producer for movies, and now we've talked about your architectural firm. And next week we will be talking to Raymond more about his book, Enduring Wealth. And he will certainly have some great advice for investing in God's kingdom. So, enduring wealth. Yes. How to be rich in this world and the next. Raymond, thank you so very much for joining me again this week. And I'll look forward to talking with you again next week.
Well, it'll be a lot of fun. Thank you for having me.
You are so welcome. And thank you all for watching. And remember, move forward with faith and look up where our help comes from. God bless you all. Have a wonderful day. Bye.